What's up guys, Ruppy here bringing you another game for the Grand Pokemon League, the draft format style league hosted by the Ion Game Corner and by association the Ion Pokemon League. Once again, doing some recording makeup just to try and get everything back to, well, get everything up to date so I can start doing potentially live recording of these going forward. This was our Week 3 game. Our Olivine Beacons at this point were 2-0 heading into what could have been a disastrous game, but, well, it was going to be an interesting game to say the least, because our opponent is known as Kira in the league. Obvious Death Note reference. He is a big Death Note fan. And his Lavender Town Spectres. His team was 1-1 heading into this week, and the interesting thing about this is he 6-0'd his Week 1 opponent, and then got 6-0'd in his Week 2 game. Which is quite interesting. I'm going to go ahead and put the team side by side here. His team, he did have some threats on his team, not going to lie. He has Sableye on his team. He has Gardevoir, which part of me thought he might bring, because at this point, Gardevoir was kind of fighting with my Victini over being the league leader for KOs. But I can understand why he didn't end up bringing it, as you can see, because my team actually does have a lot of answers to Gardevoir, even Mega Gardevoir. I figured the Jirachi would come. Feraligatr was kind of threatening to my team. Part of me expected the Shaman. I didn't really, I also prepped for the Blissey to potentially come, but he didn't end up bringing that. He ended up bringing Goodra, and also Ninetales, which kind of confused me. Maybe it's just because of Tangrowth and Mega Aggron. Well, or just Aggron in general. Because, as I stated in the draft format video, we don't have to stick with specific Megas. Any Pokemon on our team capable of Mega Evolution is able to Mega Evolve. It's just that 9 times out of 10, I have found that Mega Aggron is the more viable Mega over Mega Sharpedo, because Sharpedo is far more threatening when it's got Speed Boost up, though I might bring Mega Sharpedo one of these weeks if I can find a good use for it. Speaking of Aggron and Sharpedo, they are both in my team this week. Scar the Sharpedo and Duranium the Mega Aggron are both coming back. I was actually hoping to maybe try and do a lot of damage with Duranium this week, even though I had a lot of pokes that could have done a lot of damage in this game, just because of how I opted to go with them. I actually went with a curse set for Duranium and full HP and full special defense investment with a bit of defense, just because I knew it's ridiculously physically defensive as it is, and curse would just make up for the EVs I didn't put into it. This week also saw me bring along Bramble the Tangrowth again, as well as Victini, because I wanted to try and get a few more kills just to basically overcome Gardevoir to cement its spot as the league leader in KOs at this point in the season. This was also the GPL return of Princess the Sylveon. I think I actually rocked a Choice Specs set for this game, as opposed to just a more defensive Cleric set, like I think I ran in the Week 1 game. This was also the GPL debut of Caesar, my Slowking. Now, I opted to go for a very interesting set on Slowking. It was kind of a more specially defensive set. But instead of running Regenerator, I actually opted to run for Own Tempo as the ability. Now, let me explain. And it'll kind of become apparent here when I do jump into the game. I basically designed this Slowking specifically to deal with his Sableye, though I was not expecting Mega Sableye, which he did end up bringing because of the fact that he did not bring Gardevoir to serve as his Mega. Now, I know it's not exactly banned in the GBA's rules or even the Smogon tiers, as a matter of fact. At least to my knowledge, it isn't. But stuff like Confuse Ray is actually pretty prevalent amongst some battlers in the Ion Pokemon League. I'm not saying anything against it, because it is a viable move. I will give it that. It's just everyone has their frustrations about confusion. But I brought Own Tempo Slowking specifically to take the Confuse Ray away from his Sableye, period, to really help shut it down. Because that thing spreading confusion throughout my team could have caused some problems. So if I had a dedicated way to at least halt the confusion in its tracks, then I had a pretty direct answer to Sableye, as we're going to go ahead and get started here. I think I've left you guys waiting long enough, as the battle between the Spectres and the Beacons begins. He's going to lead with his Sableye, in fact, and I actually predicted that and led with Caesar, hitting the field for the first time in the GBL season. He's going to Mega Evolve, which caught me off guard a bit, though I understand why. He's going to go for the Confuse Ray here and realize that I brought Own Tempo Slowking, as I proceed to fire off a Scald to get some early damage off, and I am going to end up getting the burn out of it as well. Which actually is going to end up helping, because I watched his Week 2 game, and he brought a Sableye that did not have any attacking moves. So I figured he was going to rely on residual damage just to try and beat me, to completely wall me. But he reveals the knockoff here and gets rid of my leftovers, which, considering I didn't use Regenerator Slowking, that was a pretty big sacrifice on my part. He's going to switch out here, and ends up going into his Shaman, as I'm going to proceed to Scald once more with Caesar here. Sorry, needed to grab a quick drink. My throat's getting dry. I'm kind of recording these all in a row. I'm going to switch Caesar out here and go into Bramble, knowing that the Seed Flare is coming, and knowing that because 1, it's resisted, 2, I think no, I didn't run max special defense, but I ran a especially defensive nature, and 3, the Assault Vest, that Shaman Seed Flare was going to do absolutely nothing. He's going to go into Jirachi, and while I wasn't expecting that to be a switch in, I did make a nice call just going for the knockoff. His Jirachi was Choice Scarfed, which could have been a problem. He proceeds to Fire Punch me with Bramble, which Bramble is just going to eat up, and then proceed to go for Earthquake, and his Jirachi's in a really bad way at this point. He goes for the Healing Wish to deny me the chance to actually kill it. I think that might have counted ultimately as an assist for Bramble. Actually, let me double check that. I went for Hidden Power Fire just to try and take it out, but obviously it didn't happen. And the Healing Wish is going to end up in the hands of his Mega Sableye, which was a bit of a problem. Yeah, I think it did end up counting as an assist, looking over at the stat sheet really quick here. But now his Mega Sableye has no burn, and it's at full health again. I go back into Caesar, which was a bit of a risky play, considering now he's got a full power knockoff to fire off, even though I don't have an item, and Slowking survives, but it doesn't really take it well. So, for a few turns here, unfortunately, we're going to get into a bit of a war where I'm going to keep slacking off until I can find a way to basically freely Scald him, hoping to try and reapply that burn. I really didn't want to play the Hacks game, but otherwise, without Caesar, this Mega Sableye was going to cause me some problems. He ends up missing Will-O-Wisp after my second slack off, as I now see the opportunity to go for the Scald. I do not get the burn, but he misses the Will-O-Wisp, so nobody is burned here. So I go for another Scald, get a crit that time, as well as the burn, as he's just going to go straight for the knockoff, getting tired of the Will-O-Wisp misses. I am terribly sorry for those, by the way, man. I am not a fan of Hacks. I wish Hacks wasn't part of the game. I understand why it is, but that's just the kind of player I am. He's going to switch into Shaman at this point, as I just go for the slack off, predicting him to knock off again. So, Caesar is at really good health here, and once again, I'm going to get the heck out of here, as I'm going to switch into Tangos. He actually pulls a double predicting that and goes into Ninetales. Now, one thing I do disagree with is the fact that he brought a Drought Ninetales. Had he brought a Flash Fire Ninetales, I could have been in a world of trouble. But voice crack. Drought Ninetales seems good because it can hit my Tangrowth and Aggron harder, but it has one serious drawback, and its name is Victini. Especially since this week, I actually brought a more physical Victini set. And as Victini just shrugs off that Fire Blast like it's nothing, he's going to switch out here, What does physical Victini carry that is so threatening in Sun? The answer is, of course, the Create. Absolutely nothing wants to take a Sun-boosted V-Create from a max attack Victini, especially when you factor in Stab. I was not running any sort of, like, offensive boosting on it. I think I actually put a Citrus Berry on this Victini just because I didn't want to run Expert Belt for a third straight week. I didn't really see a point to it. He goes into Goodra here, and I'm going to get out just because my stats are lowered. Goodra might actually be able to, I think actually is capable of taking a Sun-boosted V-Create. So I'm going to go into Princess now, as he just straight up Earthquakes, trying to catch my Victini. Princess is going to be able to handle that. He's going to get out of here, which is a smart call. He ends up going into Shaman, and Shaman does not take a Choice Specs Hyper Voice well. It just barely lives it, but it does not take it well. Now, here is where he reveals to me that he is actually running a Resto Chesto Shaman, which is interesting just because I know Shaman has Natural Cure. I'm going to hit it with another Hyper Voice, and once again just bring it back into the red, making that rest kind of pointless. He's just going to Psychic at this point to try and get damage off. I don't know why I didn't Seed Flare, just because it was Stab. But a second Hyper Voice is going to get Princess its first kill of the season. And he's going to go back into Ninetales now. Now, part of me wanted to go back into Victini here. Actually, do I? No, I go into Slowking, actually, to take the incoming Fire Blast. Because, I mean, even in the Sun, Slowking is ridiculously specially defensive, plus there goes the Sun. So I'm not free to Scald this thing. He's gonna go into Goodra, knowing that a Scald without the Sun is not something Ninetales wants to take at all. I actually opt to go for the Thunder Wave instead, just trying to slow it down. Goodra doesn't really mind being slowed down because it's kind of a slower, bulkier Pokemon to begin with. But having the paralysis on it was kind of nice, I guess. I'm going to get Slowking out of here at this point. And just go back into Princess because that was my Goodra switch last time. He reveals Thunderbolt here. And scores a crit. But this is where he's going to get Goodra out of there. He's going to go back into Ninetales, which obviously named after what his in-game name is. I mean, I can understand why. I mean, the mythology behind Ninetales, the QB, etc. I go for a Hyper Voice. Choice Specs Hyper Voice resisted. Does about half the Ninetales. But I'm not planning on losing Prince because I'm actually in a good position to actually preserve a potential 6-0 here, and I realize that. So I'm going to go back into Victini, who once again is just going to smile and shrug off a Sun-boosted Fire Blast as I proceed to eat my Citrus Berry at this point. And I don't know why he went for Solar Beam here, as my voice cracks for the umpteenth time. Maybe he was predicting me to switch out and trying to catch Slowking, maybe? I don't know. But I said it before, and I'll say it again. Nothing wants to take a Sun-boosted V-Create Stab from a max attack Victini. And I think I was running Adamant 2 this game. I don't know, I'd have to go back and look at that set. I'm pretty sure I ran Adamant max attack. In any case, Ninetales goes down. He's going to go back into Goodra once again. And at this point, I think Goodra might be all he is. Goodra might be all he has left at this point, I think. No, he still has the Feraligatr too. I almost forgot about the Feraligatr. Goodra and Feraligatr are his last two. He goes for the Thunderbolt as I switch out Victini, predicting the Slowking, but I end up going into Bramble instead. And I proceed to knock off just to get rid of what I correctly assumed was this thing's Assault Vest. He's going to go for the Fire Blast and miss, thankfully, because a Sun-boosted Fire Blast is not something Tango Thrill wants to take even Assault Vested. I'm going to just fire off an Earthquake just to get damage off. He does hit the second Fire Blast, which, thankfully, because of the Assault Vest, Bramble's going to be able to take. And now is the perfect time for me to get Bramble the heck out of there, so it can activate Regenerator. I'm going to go into Caesar here. He Fire Blasts one more time. And if Ninetales couldn't really make it too much of a dent in Caesar, Goodra certainly isn't. He is finally going to nab the burn on Slowking, though, which was unfortunate. But I'm just going to go ahead and go for a Side Shock to try and hit it on the weaker physical side. Goodra barely lives and fires off a Thunderbolt, which Caesar's barely going to be able... Well, not barely. It lives with 39 HP. The Burn Hammer is going to put me close. I slack off instead of outright killing this thing. Because, like I said, I see the opportunity to basically pull off a 6-0 of my own here as he Thunderbolts again. And even though I'm already at a +8 differential at this point in the season, that extra bit of differential would have definitely been nice. Because it basically almost guarantees early on in the season that I'm pretty much taking my division. I get Slowking out now, seeing that I'm not going to be able to win this battle, and I go into Duranium. And this is where Duranium is going to proceed to basically clean up, as it Mega Evolves here. And I just outright go for an Earthquake to get rid of this thing. I think I had Heavy Slam on it too, as well as Stealth Rocks, because I didn't bring Donphan this week. Which was a bit risky, but he didn't really have anything to set up hazards. Oh. As my phone goes off now. I apologize, I'll be right back. Terribly sorry about that interruption, guys. Anyway, just to try and get this wrapped up really quick before any more interruptions happen. I took out the Goodra with Earthquake. He went into Feraligatr. He straight up Waterfalls. As I'm going to go for a Curse to be able to live any further hits and basically try to take this thing down. He's basically just going to keep spamming Waterfall at this point, just to try and at least prevent himself from getting 6-0'd again. I'm just going to go for an Earthquake at this point. Do over half to the Feraligatr. And because of that Curse, Duranium is going to be able to barely live one last Waterfall and preserve my 6-0 as I put Feraligatr out of commission. So your Olivine Beacons are now 3-0 on the season as of this point. That was a tough game. I mean, I know I got the 6-0, but I had to work for it, and I will give you that, Kira. You made me work for that 6-0. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the heck out of here before my phone goes off again for more work-related calls. I apologize for that, but like I said, my job just doing what it does. So, thank you guys for watching. I have been Ruppy, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.